All right, you know what it is. It's your boy Kamal Hart. We're back on the charts and we're going to go bar by bar. Few changes since our last video. I'm on a 2000 tick chart. On the 1000 tick chart, there were a lot of failures, especially when the markets are this choppy. If the markets are trending, you might be able to get away with it, but it gets really noisy really fast. So I did find a way to kind of keep my stops at 2 points. I'll try to explain that if I see any setups that allow me to do so. Today wasn't really one of those days, though, so let's just hop right in it. This first leg of the pre-market kind of looks like a spiking channel. There's a spike up right there, and then a channel through there, and there's a breakout move to a new high. So that's what we would expect pretty much. And then on this leg that's moving down, I kind of see a like a trend right there. You can copy and paste that joint, throw it on the low side. So that's probably our channel working down, and we're gonna be looking for shorts. Like right here, this is a second entry short. The signal bar is almost like a doji, but it is just maybe a tick off its low or two, maybe two ticks off the low. It's at the EMA and our trend line, second entry short. I think you should just go ahead and take it. Um, we're really just going for a scalp. If we can get a runner, that's great. But there's enough room for your scalp. That's fine. And you do get the scalp. Uh, don't get much more than that. But the scalp hits. Right now, if you're looking, you see a reversal pattern off this low. First attempt to go lower fails, second attempt to go lower fails. So you could come over here and throw a trend, a short-term trend on it. But when you do that, it actually blasts right through it. And if we do get lower than this level, 33.51.50, like there, this line really doesn't help you much anymore. But another thing that I noticed, that there might be a bigger trend going on off these highs. You can see I get a little more than 3 touches there. So maybe we have a trend as well. And I like how that fits nicely there, and then we get a bounce there. And right to that other side, that's where the buying comes in, kind of like what we'd expect. Nothing really to buy or sell in here. Kind of get this failed break lower. That one takes off. But you can see we're going sideways. So I'd be more looking at this kind of like a congestion zone. The highs are up there and the lows being down here. So I want to see a breakout pullback above this zone before I go in long. Never get that breakout pullback. So right here, we look like we're about to get it. And then on the very next bar, breaks above and then closes below. So it's just kind of like a fade of this level. In fact, if this wasn't an inside bar, you might have gone short because that's a second entry short. First entry, boom, second entry. So there's reasons to even be going short there. And then on the bigger picture of this trend, it does look like we have a breakout side and then we're going to go test the lows. So I would maybe throw this on for leg one. So yeah, leg two might be somewhere down there. Um, Somewhere down there. And that, runs to the lows with the quickness. So there wasn't an entry in there we could have taken if you weren't already in up here. Here's the failed second entry. It's really aggressive because we're kind of far from the EMA. There's probably support here. There's enough room though. So if you really want to be aggressive, there's enough room to get your scalp before hitting that low side of the channel. That's just kind of a personal thing. I would probably just wait, see if I can get a better setup, but you might take that. You get just enough. But now for sure, we're starting to get some congestion, a bar that's inside of a bar that's inside of another bar. So we're starting to go sideways again. In fact, you probably could just measure this, and there's like a breakout sort of expansion thing going on. Um, Now we're starting to move higher, but really we want to see prices do a breakout pullback. So when we start moving lower here, this is like a third entry. So there's no trade here. We're just waiting to see what we get. We shoot right back off to the lows, which is interesting because, you know, we kind of have leg one, breakout, two legs to a new low. So we should be anticipating the reversal pattern. This is a tempting trade. We're going to skip it just because we already had, like I said, the two legs to a new low. But that's really tempting. But, you know, we'll wait. If anything, we're expecting more so a reversal. And at this point, there should be a line on the chart because we were below the EMA, now we're above, and we did create a new swing in the process. So really, there should be like a short-term trend there, and you're going short into your trend. That might not be the best. And you can see it's kind of like a quick failure. If you see that, you could enter on that reversal right there. It's aggressive because this bar is so big. And really what I would do is I would enter and then on the next bar, move my stop to that next bar. Kind of treat that like an entry bar stop. This isn't going to be the best example for it, but there's a lot of risk if you buy this. But once again, we're just going for a scalp. So by the time it gets up to 33.50, we should be out. And it gives you a lot more than that even. We do get a pullback and a bounce off our trend, but that's a doji. You don't want to buy above a doji. It's not really a setup off the lows. The setup was down here. It's going to have to wait. Another engulfing bar, but once again, we're far away from the EMA. You don't really want to buy that. What you could do is give us a channel. Probably a channel like that through there. So we're getting that first break outside. Let's see if we can get a another leg higher. I would be looking to say this is leg one. So if we do start moving higher, we'll be looking for a leg one. We never close above here, so we're just waiting. And then at this point, it's almost kind of looking like a reversal. It breaks below but doesn't close below, so we're still waiting. Finally goes below there. So that's a reversal pattern. Not necessarily that you want to take the short, but it is worth keeping this in mind and just seeing how prices respond to this line. Then on the very next bar, it does break past it pretty aggressively, but it never breaks below because maybe there would have been a setup below this bar. But it never breaks below and it kind of keeps going higher. And then now that we're above the origin point for this trend, it's not going to help you much anymore. So I would just take that off. And then we can go back to that original idea looking for a possible leg two. So we might have a target up here. That's the higher low, but the signal bar is pretty bearish. You can't buy above that signal bar. And then it's a little too late to buy this green bar. You got stopped out if you did that. And then if you look closely, we have a trend breakout, move to a new high. So once we cross this EMA and cross a previous swing, We should be looking for another short-term trend like so. And once again, when we come back to test it, we just blast right through it. So this no longer helps you much. But what we do have is a breakout, two legs to a new high, almost a measured move, not quite a measured move. So let's see what happens up here. Okay, there you go. Now you get the measured move. There's a lower high here, but that lower high is like, that's a really big bar. That's too aggressive. Definitely don't want to buy down here. That's way too big. What we'll do is we'll wait for like a failed second entry and we'll try to sell that. You could even give this a trend. It's kind of going sideways here. So let's, if we want to act as though, okay, let's say this is a congestion zone. Once we get that breakout pullback below this level, then we'll give it a trend. So like here, I want to go short there. That's a failed second entry long. That's the breakout pullback below the congestion area. There's really nothing I see wrong with that trade. Just got to leave it up to the probability gods now. Even on this other idea, you had a breakout, two legs to a new high, so we're expecting the reversal now. So I would go short there. Takes a little bit to get going, but if your stop is above your signal bar, you should be fine. And it finally does, uh, sell off. Something to note here is that if you're holding that runner still, you can see that we had a breakout side and a move to a new low. So once you start seeing the buying signals, you want to cover as much of the profit as you can. This is where it's most likely to reverse, break outside, move to a new low, starting to see some bullish activity. I'd start covering, maybe even, above this open, above this bar's open, somewhere in here, 33.51.25. And it kind of comes and gets you. Depends on how you manage it. But even if you, well, it does give you a little bit more, but your +1 stop came very close to being stopped out. In fact, it gets stopped out right there anyway. So, you really wouldn't have gotten, you would have gotten pretty much the same exit anyway. But that's 9 o'clock. It's a little faster since we're on the 2000 tick chart, half the price action, which is nice. But in the morning, in the first hour, 2 hours, it wasn't really, it's pretty choppy to be honest. It was a little hard to find good trades, but there were a few that did pretty well if you were just patient and waited for them. I'll go ahead and um, show y'all kind of what the day ended up being ultimately. Kind of there. So it was kind of just a choppy day, but you can see there's kind of like two bare legs, and now we're kind of getting some sort of reversal. Um, it's kind of like a range day, to be honest. During the session, I was kind of looking at support being here initially, and then there would be resistance up here. And then I was looking to see if we're going to come test somewhere down here. And we never really quite got down there. So a little bit of an odd range, but you can see how it's chopping around, trying to figure out where it wants to go. So that's our Friday chart. I'll be back again next week, but for now, that's it. It's your boy Kamal Hart signing out. See ya.